I'm going to go through a few signals in pink green tops. If you're not aware of it, the pattern pink green top and pink green bottom is probably one of the most traded patterns that we have. It is a pattern, however, that you can have a pinpoint pink green top, and you can have a pink green top that lasts for 10, 11 days. And so it's one of those patterns that really needs a signal to identify the turnaround. And the basic definition of both the pink green top and the pink green bottom is that zip pink is right next to it before it can go down. I mean, in 99.9% of the cases, the zip pink is next to the green when it goes down. With one clarification, and I think you've heard me say it on other videos, but since I've said that, I'll say this. If zip Zion is also at the top at 100 or at 0, it basically doesn't change things. It is still right next to green. As you know, zip Zion is the grandfather to zip green, and both zip Zion and zip green track buyers coming in and out of the stock. When it's at 100, there's a lot of people coming in. When Zion is at 100, there are more people coming in. And of course, when Zion is at 0, there is a huge number of people leaving the stock. That being said, let me switch over to the chart here, and I've got an example of a small pink green top on the left and another pink green top over here on the right of the center chart. I've got 3 daily charts here. I've expanded on the 2 left ones. The left chart has the price, the zip, and the swing chart. The right or left chart has the trend and the power chart, and the right chart is the normal chart that comes out of the platform when you load up Day Trading Visual Basics with all 5 subcharts in it. Excuse me. Now, the green line is on the very first day that it becomes a defining point at which the pink green top starts. That's the day that the zip green is at 100. In a previous video I explained the signals on this 10 or 11 day pattern down here for the signals on pink green bottoms, and showed how every single day you could see that there was no signal, or the signals told you that the price was going to continue to go down, rather, and then identify that signal that told you that the price was going to go up. In this video, I'll be talking about both the pink green top patterns and showing you where and when the signal is. Let me start out by saying, I'm going to expand this a little bit more so we can see it a little bit more clearly. When you see a pink green top, meaning 0 is at 100, and it'll continue at 100 and continue going up until the pink line, zip pink line, pops out from underneath the other lines. On the first day that it pops out, that would be right here. The price normally goes down. Obviously, unless you've got other factors that tell you differently, okay? Because at this point here, price red, gray, blue, and yellow are all down, and potentially it could lead to another day going up. But remember, zip red is really powerful, and it can move 90 points in a day, and zip red went down to 88. It was at 97. It dropped 9 points to 88. And so from that, we're pretty reasonably assured that because we recognize that the power or the pressure in the market in that stock is not moving in the downward direction. It's still holding there. Even though the zip red is so sensitive, it goes down a little bit, it still is high. And that tells us that this day right here, which is the normal day, that zip green will go down, and that's when pink is next to it. Pink here in this case is at 97, green's at 100. But as you can see in the zip chart, we have zip Zion that is lowest and going up, which is an automatic next day up pattern. On the next day, right here, again we have zip pink that has gone to 97.88. It has gone up 0.06 hundredths of a point, but that's the general rule of what happens with zip pink. It almost always goes up on a pink green top, and almost always goes down on a pink green bottom. On this day, we have several things that we can identify with, and this is 2 days before the pink vertical line. On this day, we have a number of mixed patterns. We have, for example, looking into the swing chart here, we have a swing Zion, which is real high. And as you know, it is a price barometer with zip pink and the 3 price lines. Though obviously the price chart is up high as well. But zip pink is down 2 days, and it's basically in a low angle down, and it's almost down touching the swing yellow line, although we prefer that the lines down touch heavier lines like red and green, for example, or that the pink, yellow, and Zion line down touch the gray line, the swing gray, or the blue, red, and green lines. Because the blue line is your crossover line, and it tells you a lot about what's happening. And that's one of the other keys. Before I leave the gray is the deep cycle indicator. It's going up. It's real hard to change directions in the gray line. And so our reaction is, just looking at the swing gray line, that the price is going to be up tomorrow. Now, the key factor in the entire swing chart, let me expand it so that you can see it. That is on this day when we're looking at 2 days before the pink vertical line, where zip pink is highest, and now the zip red and gray have gone down 2 days. Even though yellow and blue are back up, that's a definite sign that it's not going down, because usually all 4 continue down a second day. But the big swing chart signal is in the blue line above the red line, right on this day, 2 days before the pink vertical line. And so the red and the green and the blue are real slow to turn. And the pink is in a low angle down. It's almost touching the yellow. And as a result, the blue line uptrends are best when the blue is above the red. When the blue is above the green and between the green and the red, that's the start of an uptrend oftentimes. Excuse me. But it's not the necessarily the strong portion or the stronger portion of the uptrend. And that is when the blue is above the red line. Now, with that said, this day right here doesn't give us a signal that says we need to get out next day. In fact, we have just the opposite, because the ZIP Zion line continued to go up even though it's buried. It no longer qualifies as a pattern of we know it's going to go up tomorrow, because it's not lowest anymore, but it still can go up. And with the swing blue and red going up, and blue above the red specifically, that's a really good sign that it's going to go up tomorrow. And in the cases, in the other two charts over here, we have ZIP pink, which is your your deep cycle indicator, along with your swing gray is your power pink and power blue are your other two deep cycle indicators, but we look at them power pink and power blue as one deep cycle indicator. They are interchangeable, but almost all the time power pink is either highest or lowest in the pattern. With this, 2 days before, power pink is on a peak, and we need it to go down. And we have a low angle up right now in power pink, which is indicative of a next day down. But we also have divergence between the trend red and green lines, and we don't know, looking at these two charts specifically, what's going to happen. With the exception that we know the trend trio, blue, pink, and yellow, are still going up, and they have a stronger influence on market direction, price direction, than other lines, other faster lines, because they are they were built as short-term trend lines. They move slower. It takes more to push them in a different direction. And so even though it's not until we get the main signal for a downtrend, and you've heard me say it, you've heard me say it before. In an uptrend, the trend red will cross over the green. In a downtrend, the trend red will cross under the green. And on the pink vertical line day, that's the first day that red is crossed under green, which would tell us that we're going into a downtrend. It's also the day when the pink vertical line, or the power pink, is at a peak, which could be indicative of the highest point in the cycle change, in the high cycle. But obviously, I think you've heard me say before that that swing gray is the most powerful of the deep cycle indicators and the most accurate. And as you can see down here in the swing gray, or in the swing chart, that on the vertical pink line, swing gray is continuing to go up. Even on the day when ZIP green leaves 100, or maybe the day after. So now we get to I commented in the trend chart and the power chart about the day before the pink vertical line, but we have, what has happened is ZIP Zion has hit 100 on this day, one day before the pink vertical line, and all of the other indicators are under that. Now, often, I shouldn't say often, but many times when ZIP Zion hits a 100, that will be a day when the next day everything will go back down. because it's really hard for Zip Zion to stay at 100. As soon as, what happens on the next day at the open, and you look on the vertical pink line, that next day it gaps up. And so we know from that gap up that green and Zion are going to stay at 100 for quite a while. We know that because we're thinking about trading it. We're going to find the top of the red candle, supposedly, that's going to go down, and we can short it, sell it short. Excuse me. But when Zion stays highest, doesn't leave, along with green, and pink stays highest, then we know that that day is going to be a day when we're likely to end up above the previous close of the day before, which would mean we're still going up in price. It would obviously be best at that point with the red, gray, yellow, and blue all going down, and with the depth that it goes down. Zip red is now at 73 at the end of this day, and that tells you that the following day is probably going to be a red candle. And so at the end of this day, I would assume, because keep in mind, the day before I thought that that Zip Zion at 100 would be the day that things would be going down. And let me verify this here. Let me see what Zip red and gray are on this. Zip red is at 96, Zip gray is at 98.04, and Zip pink is at 98.1. So Zip pink is barely the highest of pink, red, gray, yellow, and blue. But Zion is higher and green is higher, and so on this day before, we look at what we got and we say, well, it could go down, I'll be ready. It gaps up, so we know the market is still moving it up, so we know it's going to stay in that position of being above and being a price up situation. So at the end of the pink vertical line day, we now have pink next to green with Zion at 100, with green at 100, and this is an excellent qualifying day for the following day to go down. And so, especially as I mentioned, with the other four lines all down, because that's one of the primary signals. It's the same signal that's at pink green bottoms. When the yellow and blue are moving up above, they go up off the bottom somewhere, and they climb, and they're pointed up. That's the signal, especially when the green is at 0 and the pink is still dropping. In this case here, the green is at 100 the day before, and the pink is at 98.10. On the vertical line day, it's at 98.19. So the pink line is following the normal pathway. It went up a little bit from the previous day. It is now on the pink vertical line day, it is the signal to going down. But what happens? Oftentimes a pink green top is a downtrend. A downtrend. But on the very next day after the pink green line, vertical line, we end up with what? Look on the zip chart and we see a really big, strong red spike. Zip red went way down to 27, and zip yellow stayed up real high at 81. And you've heard me tell you before, when zip yellow is running high, prices stay high, and when zip yellow is running real low, prices stay low. even though they bounce up and down, when they're staying above 80, or they're staying under, I like to see them under 15 when they're on the low part, but they can even go up to 20. And they stay under 20 and they're bouncing back and forth. The result is that you're not going down. So on this day after the pink vertical line, we have a red candle, but we immediately have a red spike, which tells it's going to be it's going to go up the next day. So we would get out of the pattern. We saw the signal going down, but it only lasted for one day. But along the same lines, we get out at the end of the day right here. We know it's going back up tomorrow. So we would buy this long tomorrow. And looking at the price green and red, we don't like to see the price red drop down to 77 like it has on the day after the pink pink vertical line, I mean. But it still falls within that realm of possibility only because price green is above 100. So as it went down to 107. But when it has a tendency, when it goes down and stays real high, it has a tendency to go back up the next day, is what I'm trying to tell you. So much for that pink green top. This one over here we'll look at now, and this is where the two green candles are going up. Excuse me. The two green candles are going up. This day right here is the first day that the green hit 100, and so this could be a pinpoint day. It could be a day when the green candle stays up high, or the price stays up high, or zip green is at 100, however you want to look at it. Or it could be the pinpoint that I referred to. In this case, we have what we refer to as a pinpoint green movement, or pinpoint pink-green top. But obviously you can't tell if you have a pinpoint top until you wait until the following day. And so I say that we had a pinpoint pink-green top because pink dropped way down on this day after the two green candles. However, the zip green stayed at 100. And so we know we're not at the end of the upturn. We go the next day right now, we are anticipating a next day up, simply because we have Zip Zion that is going up, and Zip Zion is just above the Zip Red. Zion's at 63, Zip Red's at 60, and that is another reason why we would have really stayed with the up considerations, even though we had a slight gap down on this day where the white line is. We had Zip Zion lowest and going up, which tells us the price is going to go up, and it did not go up, but it was very close in price. I mean, yes, it did go up from the previous close, but it did not stay there, is what I'm trying to say. And we have mixed patterns on that day. On this day right here of the second green candle, if you look, we have a red-green one-day twin peak, which means next day down. If you look on the swing chart, we have a low angle up in the swing Zion. Swing pink is faster. It's a leading indicator. It's saying we're going down. And the red and the green lines are both going down. The swing gray happens to be coming up. So we got some different mixed or opposing patterns in here, and you can see what the result is. You got about 8 or 10 days of just a battle. You know, the price isn't going anywhere, and you might say it's a lot longer than that, but it's we can see that on this first day, that with the mixed patterns, it's not likely to be something that's real strong. I mean, whenever I find two green candles, strong green candles, I always get out at the end of the second green candle. Depends on what happens after the first green candle. I may get out then, but it's all going to depend on where the open is and where the lines are headed as I'm trading that following or that second day. So in any case, there's the first day. The second day with with zip green at 100. The pink is down, the other lines are down, but Zip Zion is still climbing, and we can't discount Zip Zion's climb because we don't know when it's going to end. And so now we look at the following day. We're into the third day of Zip Green at 100, and Zip Zion is now right up there with pink. And pink is at 76, the Zion's at 75, and it's coming up. So we want to wait one more day because at this point, even though Zip Pink is highest, we have a low angle in Zip Red. And it's just the biggest problem we have, or what I'm trying to convey, is that none of these indicators are at 97, 98, 99, where they should be. Everything is down low. So generally speaking, it has a potential of coming up. And especially with Zip Zion only 1 point away from Zip Pink. And on this day here, if I was still in the pattern, I would say it's going to go up simply because Zion will likely go up. And when it does, Zion only gets up to 85, and the red is coming up. But on this day, which is the last day that Zip Green's at 100, your Zip Pink is technically highest, so it is going to be going down. You also, in your swing gray here, you have a lower high, which is the definition of a downtrend. And likewise, when you, on 3 days after your different your swing Zion lower high in the trend chart, the red's already crossed under the green, telling us that we're going into a downtrend. And but the mixture of this whole thing is that trend trio is going up, coming up above zero, and they're just mixed all over the place. And I wanted to run through that to spend more time at it, simply because I wanted to show you what the indicators do, even though the price was just garbage. We didn't like that movement at all after two nice green candles. And that's what happens so often when you see two strong green candles. You'll get a couple of days of this and maybe a nice movement one way or the other, and then a couple more days. It just kind of turns out that way when you have that type of when you have those types of mixed reactions, or mixed indicator signals would be a better way of saying it. So that's an example, or I guess some comments on pink green tops and how you can read each and every day and identify that signal. I mean, Zip Pink was highest. It was under the green, with the exception that Zip Zion was higher. But as you know, Zip Pink and Zion I think was at 85 and Pink was in the 70s. Normally those are just a few points away from 100. So it was a movement that obviously showed significant amounts of congestion. There was just a battle going on in there. And you can pick that up with the indicators. So Good information. I hope I was clear on, didn't say any, excuse me, any things that were misunderstood, because sometimes it's easy to say the wrong color of line and that type of thing. So, but enjoy the videos. It truly is an amazing system.